Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Karin. I'm an author, an integrative therapist, and an inspirational speaker. Join me for life-inspiring conversations with leading-edge visionaries, provoking thought leaders, and spiritual teachers. We will explore transformational topics such as holistic well-being, how to put more freedom and joy in your life, conscious living, and the soul's journey. Together, we will find where the mind, body, and heart meet the soul, only on the Lighter Side Network, where the everyday meets the extraordinary.
Hi Lumineers, welcome back to the Lighter Side Show. I'm your host, Jamie Butler, the Everyday Medium. Today we have a wonderful guest. We're back in studio with Kelley Knight. Yay! Applause! Jesse definitely put like a crowd right there screaming because she's incredible. And Lumineers, you may already know her because we've done some episodes with her. Research her. Get online right now and check out modernmystictarot.com. And you have an Instagram account, which is modernmystic_, don't forget the little line, tarot, and follow her. I love your posts on Instagram. Like,
Thank you.
Informative, how-to, silly, beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my God, the pictures of your crystals in your shop is like, why am I sitting at home? I need to be at your store buying that.
Thank you.
They call to me through the computer. Anyways, before we get into the topic of discussion, which is misconceptions of intuitive readers and all kinds of readers, tarot, medium, psychic, all kinds of things,
Right.
I have some housekeeping notes. I know. Oh my gosh, you're more excited about this part than the actual episode. It's okay. Me too. So here's what's going on, guys. My nonprofit, the Love and Light Institute, has a summer camp for kids, Camp Connect. It's happening the week of June 12th. We also have a little weekend camp for adults called Pause, Play, and Express. And that is in late June. Check out the website at loveandlightinstitute.com or also on Facebook. Now, for Jamie Butler Medium stuff, we have a lot going on. We have the basic online class in July. We have the intermediate mediumship in August. These are all online. You can be wherever you want in the world. Come join us. You guys have been asking for these classes, so we kind of snuck them back in because honestly, my goal was to just do it once a year. But you guys kind of were like, come on, man. So I'm listening, I'm working with it. I love that you guys are so expressive. Put your fingers to the keyboard, keep typing, let us know what you're feeling, what's going on with you. Okay, two more things. Is that in August, we have an advanced mediumship practice. So keep that on your radar. And the weekend of the 13th in October, we have a Luma Summit. And I'm hoping this beautiful lady here is going to be a part of it. You know, I'm still creating some stuff. But I'm not going to say much more because it's about all of it being a surprise for you. But it's going to be packed full of tons of things. So to learn all of this and to keep it in your memory, please check out jamiebutlermedium.com and sign up for the newsletter. Because if you're kind of a person who wants it all organized, it happens on the newsletter and it comes out once a month. So we're not really overwhelming. But thank you for hanging in there and listening to all of this. But hang on to your seats because Kelley has a few things coming up.
Yes, I have a Tarot 101 workshop in Atlanta on May 27th and 28th, and then in New York City on November 4th and 5th. And then that content is always available online.
It is?
At modernmystictarot.com and click on classes, and then you can download it's like 6 hours in videos and complimentary materials that cover my class from anywhere in the world.
Nice!
Yay!
Oh, I love that you go online.
Yes, modern mystic, right? So how modern would I be if it was
It would be terrible.
Modern mystic without a website or digital content.
Well, I also like the modernness of the outfit of you, the hairstyle. I mean, I kind of thought you would show up in some velveteen, some crystal ball.
I only take that out on weekends.
And I was just kind of curious to know, did you have any warts removed?
No. But, in the morning when I wake up, my skin is green.
No, tell me more.
It takes a long time to get camera ready.
Some misconceptions of intuitive readers is happening now. So what have you run into in your career? And exactly, Kelley, can you tell the Lumineers exactly what you do in your shop?
Sure.
So we understand your background.
Yes, so I guess I'm most well known as a tarot reader. So I use tarot cards, which are it's a deck of 78 cards that describe different human experiences and archetypes that you use for guidance and divination. So that's my primary method that I use to give clients guidance and insight. I will say, in my opinion, one misconception of a tarot reader is that you're a fortune teller and that you will predict the future. And I don't really, I mean, me personally, maybe there are people that can predict the future, but in my experience, I do what's called forecasting, which is the most likely outcome should the circumstances follow the current momentum, right? Because I've learned through reading thousands and thousands of people that the future oftentimes is not as fixed as we'd like to think it is.
Yeah.
And you just make a choice, right? And then the universe sort of realigns to support that choice, as opposed to it being like a very clear yes, no, right, wrong. So I would say that would also be one misconception that what do you think about future predictions?
Oh, no, I just like that you call it forecasting.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of the weatherman.
Yeah.
Do they really know what they're doing? No. I know you know what you're doing. You got a system in place, but often they're like, it's not going to rain today, and it rains. But there's some days, more likely than not, they're kind of spot on.
Right.
Which is kind of how I feel the energy is when I'm reading it, is what I'm hearing is the most likely outcome.
Right.
Like if your personality was to stay the same and nothing was to like get in your way, change your perspective, grow you in a different way, and you are most likely going to make the same decisions that you would personality-wise as I'm reading you, then most likely what they're sharing with you is what's going to come about.
Right.
I like the forecasting. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's sort of like momentum. So it's like if the
Yes.
momentum stays this way, momentum. So I would say that would be one, a lot of clients do come to the table, well, not a lot, but some do, wanting to know straight up, like, will this happen, won't this happen? And I feel like there's a probability factor, just like with the weather, right?
Yes,
You're right.
it's not a hard yes and a hard no. There's a scale to it.
Right. And I like it that way, too, because it puts a responsibility back on the
Doesn't it?
client.
Yes, it puts it back in your hands to remind you that you're in control.
Right. And
You're doing
there's
this.
free will, and there's choices you can make. And that's another thing. Sometimes people get scared coming in for a reading because part of them wants to know the outcome or the forecast, and part of them is scared to know. And so if we're like laying the cards out and the forecast is not what they were hoping, you can always follow it up with a question as to like what needs to shift to create a different outcome. So then you're really more empowered than as opposed to I'm doomed for this outcome or it has to be this way.
So your forecasting can set up a place for you to ask questions that maybe you wouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of like that a lot.
I love it. I love it.
That's when probably the people's heads are kind of like, what? That was the most incredible session.
Yeah, because they start to, I think a lot of times as a reader, you're in a little bit of a position of power, right? I mean, perceptually. And I don't like to actually sit in that seat, right?
Why?
Because I like to engage with people one-on-one like we're equals, because we are, right? I'm just like treating you a service, something that I'm, a little bit more talented in this area, and this other person is probably like a mature, competent, grown-up person, right? So we're hoping, right? And so by approaching a reading that way, it's like I'm just here to give you information and maybe a perspective that you maybe didn't consider, or and I'm always so thrilled when the cards come up because they're always so accurate. And so it's an engagement, it makes I'm big about personal responsibility, and so it engages in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a misconception that you've hit, is that when a person comes to have a session with you, they believe that you have the control. I'm just handing everything over to you and you're going to tell me everything. And that for that moment in time, they don't have responsibility over anything.
Right.
Do you get that a lot?
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's different a little bit maybe because I have the cards. So maybe people would give that, like the cards are going to tell me. The hardest readings I ever have is like when you're reading someone and they're like, will you tell me? You know what I mean? As opposed to that happens sometimes instead of being engaged. It's like, so I'll ask a follow-up question because my readings are very much like a conversation. I'm not all-knowing. We're in this together. Also, because we use tarot cards and there's a lot of symbology, it helps to engage the client because they might see something in the symbology that's relevant to them. That's a sign that isn't as relevant to me, and that can kind of direct the reading.
Well, in class the other night, I had my students hold up cards that were in envelopes, and they were going to telepathically kind of receive the information. And one of the students pulled out a card and was just like, look, she was so excited to see it because she explained to the group later that her son, who has passed away, shows up as this bird. And that was out of the probably 50 odd cards. That was the card she was given. And so it just kind of really resonated with her.
Right.
So you're right, finding that symbol or image, whatever it is in the deck, if you guys are coexisting in the reading, they can add to it and it builds it.
Yeah, totally. So it's a conversation, and it engages the person, and it adds so much more richness to the information if it is not. I mean, I could read someone if they're like, you tell me. I'm not, saying anything. Because I do
You
get
get those?
occasionally, or it's more like they're not as overt, but you can tell that they're like, and not really like, oh my gosh, yes. Tell me more about that one, But then afterwards, though, they're like, they're like, oh my God, that was so great. But
You're like, where were you during the session?
I'm like sweating over here. I'm like, is this resonating? I'm like, all right. And they come back.
That's it. That's another misconception.
Which one?
Is that the reader, and I'm sure there are readers out there that do this, but that the reader is observing you, what you are saying, has researched you, has taken the time to get your full correct name, your location, and research you, and is watching your body language or surfing if you have rings on, things like that. I am so nervous if I'm about to give you a reading. And plus, if we're on the phone, I can't see you.
Right.
I don't know what your body language is. I don't know what you've done. And I don't have time to research you. I am so sorry. But I'm back to back and I'm very busy. I don't look at my calendar till the day of. And I meditate on those 4 people. So there's no like mind games that I'm playing. I'm really trying to focus my best attention and energy on the ability to communicate to the ones you can't see and can't research on Google and like can't really observe and look to see what they're doing. So the misconception of that you're not really an intuitive reader, but you're just very good at body language, listening to tone of voice. And I'm sure some of the readers use that skill, but I'm totally lame to it.
Right. I had...
it's too much for me to do.
Yeah. I was confronted with that one time, and it was because I was at a Halloween party doing readings. And so it was more of like entertainment purposes for people. That's what they think. That's a misconception. Tarot readings, entertainment.
Entertainment.
Oh, let's just get a psychic medium at our party. It'll be so fun.
So much fun.
So fun. And it gets real.
It gets quick. It gets real.
It gets real. And there was this couple, and the woman was really into it, and it was getting real about their marriage, and the guy was there. And then at the end, he had a little bit too much to drink, and he was like, "You're a fraud. You're just reading our body language, and you're just I don't know." He was just saying all those similar things, and I was just like, I'm sorry, that's not. I also don't engage in having to prove myself to people when it comes to this kind of thing. So it's just like, all right, dude, I guess I won't be seeing you again,
Believe what you need to believe.
And then I
slip
his wife my card because she needs.
Did you?
I mean, I said, if you want to continue this conversation, she was up against some tough stuff in her marriage, and then it was sort of displayed, So I don't know. It's happened very rarely. I am so fortunate to have my ideal clients. I would say 99.9% of the time that I feel like a lot of this misconception stuff doesn't land so much.
Yeah.
Because they spend the time researching, they get my personality online, they've been referred, they see me on your network.
What?
And it just works out.
These readings are not just for entertainment.
No, that's a misconception. I'm sure you have some examples of that. I was
back in the day.
A retail store, because sometimes they like to hire me. And this woman comes in, and it was with her girlfriend. It was just for fun, and we were doing this full 3-card love reading. And then I was like, why are you asking about this guy? There's like another guy on the back burner. And she was like, oh, how did you know that? And it's just, I mean, it's in the cards. You can't hide from the cards.
She was busted.
You can't hide from the cards. That's why when people come in groups, I ask them, are you comfortable with everyone knowing? Because I can't tell what's gonna be revealed. And so if you're shy about anything, or you've got some skeletons or something you don't want other people to tap into, just come solo. Just come solo,
Yeah, I love it when they hire for parties or radio events, promotion events. Oh, we would like for you to take this booth and do psychic readings. I'm like, are you sure? Like, there's a hip hop beat in the background. Everybody has vodka in their hands.
Right.
It's not a private moment.
Right.
And all the girls come sit down. They're like, oh, you're going to give us a reading. Tell me about my love. And I'm like, but your dad who sexually abused you is standing here and wants to apologize. And, it's just like, boom.
Right.
And they're like, what am I, and then they're crying and they're off to the bathroom, and it's like, I'm not trying to do a shock factor, but none of her people wanted to talk about her love without her fixing the relationship with the father so she could have a healthy love.
Right.
And so it was just like, oh my God, why am I here? Why do I say yes to this?
Right.
It doesn't value the space of what the work actually is.
Totally. And maybe that's a misconception around, to build off the misconception of it just being entertainment. This is like soul work. This is life-changing work for people. And so I'm sure you take it very seriously, as do I. And yes, I'll do an occasional party here and there, but it's not really where I feel the most productive and where we can get the most.
It's like if you could imagine, they go to a therapist, whether it's a psychotherapist or any other type of therapist, counselor. We want to hire you for our party.
Oh, right.
We'd like for you to show up and provide.
Right.
Though I'm comparing it, it's not that we do the same work, it's just similar results come from the types of work that we do. It's very healing. But our culture still doesn't, kind of see us in the same eye.
Right, because another misconception would be, we're woo-woo, where I've been told I am schizophrenic.
We're woo-woo?
We are woo-woo, but I guess it's not.
Schizophrenic.
Yeah, have you gotten that one before? When I started hearing and sensing things like very quickly and abruptly, and it was, sort of, exposed to a lot at once and hearing voices. Some people might say that you should actually go to a mental health professional.
Yeah, you need to seek something.
Sure. So that might be another one. That we're crazy.
We're not crazy. We have a different type of sensory ability. How's that?
That's great.
Is that technical enough? That was pretty good.
Yeah. So I would say one preconception is that everyone's intuitive abilities are the same. So, if you can, so I hear a lot, so I'm clairaudient. That's probably one of my strongest senses. And, let's talk about, he wouldn't mind, I don't think, my dad. My dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad. I'm sure he'll be watching. He loves you. He loves you. When he comes to town, he's like, I want to meet Jamie.
Please.
So as he sees me kind of unfolding my gifts, he wants to connect too. And if he's not hearing things or it's not the same, it's sort of like, I don't have that intuitive gift, but he does, in other ways that he's got like that knowing. His superpower is manifesting parking spots.
That's incredible.
Especially in this city, if you can manifest.
I'll be your
parking.
permanent Uber driver, or you could be my permanent passenger, and you could make that happen.
Right. So I think it's a huge misconception that there's only one way to be intuitive or one way to get information, and then if it's not that way, you don't
then
have
it's all wrong.
Right.
Like, because most of my students and my clients, when they come, they're like, oh my God, I just really want to do it the way that you do. I want to see it. I want to see them. Like, you see them in the room? I'm like, yep, I see them in the room and I hear them. And that's just the way I've always been. So that's what was easier for me to do. So I'm not going to switch and try to have a gut instinct or a knowing about them, because that's not my strong suit. And I encourage my students to grab what their strong suit is and go through that avenue to build the other ones. If you're interested in seeing or hearing or sensing, feeling, knowing, smelling, that's a thing. And I even come across a few people that taste is a thing.
That's interesting. I wonder if that would be good. I don't know. It depends on what you're tasting.
It's like they have a certain taste in their mouth, whether it's metallic, sweet, sour, about a topic or experience that they're conveying to someone. And so they know if it's intuitively accurate or not.
That's cool.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I can imagine that happening.
I hope mine would be like chocolate.
Another thing that when you mention about the intuitive abilities I get in my reading is a sitter will have one question in their head. They're coming for the entire experience, but they'll have one particular question. And I could have a session where the spirit is answering everything, just back to back, so beautiful, so graceful, so amazing. And then the person goes, well, here's my one question. And basically what they're doing, if this one isn't correct, then the rest of it is a lie. It's just in shambles, it's gone, it's worthless. They want their money back. Wow. They're done. And so it could be, what type of dress did I wear the day that we met?
Right.
What was the nickname that you called me? They're very, very specific. And so I think it's a misconception that when you cross over, that the things that are important, the memories that are important to you, are also the same memories that are so very important to your loved one, your family member, your friend. And so you're asking a very specific question that might not hold value anymore to them. Doesn't lessen it at all, doesn't change your experience with it. But if they're not able to answer it or perform to that need, the rest of it is not bogus. It's like saying every time you meet someone like Kelley, I've met you a dozen times. I freaking adore her. When I see Kelley, I know it's Kelley. I don't see her and go, what is your name again? And what was I wearing the first day that you met me? And I don't put her through a test to figure out if it is accurate or if it's really you.
Right.
I go to accept it. And so I think a big misconception is if the reader doesn't get that one question that you've been holding in your pocket right, then the rest of it is wrong.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah. That's a hard one to have in my sessions.
Right.
Because I want to be the best for the session. I want to give it to them, and it breaks my heart at the same time, and it's like a lot's riding on it. And I'd say 50-50. Spirit's like, it was a red dress and it had ruffles on it, or you were sucking on a lollipop, or you were, and just random and spot on. Ooh, like the goosebumps.
Someone out there probably was wearing a there dress or something when for a loved one.
That's wild.
Wow, I
don't
see
normally do that.
Goosebumps.
There you have it. Goosebumps. What is that?
That's always a sign for me. A sign of like connection, or that, you're right on, or a hell yes from your unseen friends. Right?
Please, can we make like a short GIF out of that?
Hell yes from your unseen friends. That's what I call them, unseen friends, because I don't know. They could be anything.
I love that.
Yeah. Your unseen support.
All right, we have covered some kind of what we would call the bad misconceptions. Mm-hmm. Right? We're not all-knowing. How about, we're not entertainment value. There's something to it.
Right.
What about, do you ever get the telepathic one?
Oh, that you can like read people's minds?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that happens sometimes, like less with clients, but more with like new friends that don't know how to sort of like put you in a category of what you do for a living. And I've had new friends before. That whole like you tell me kind of thing, but not in a bratty way, but just like you can tell that they think that I can like get in there and know what they're saying or thinking or whatever. So yeah.
So what do you know? You tell me.
I know you've got blue eyes.
Some days.
Yeah, it's like, so that's really, have you experienced anything like that? Especially, I guess, as a medium, people might think that you can read their mind, or well, maybe you are seeing spirit all the time, like on the fly.
Sometimes, but no, not.
But they,
not all
but
the
they
time,
like
not
might
all the
think
time.
that you can.
Yes.
They think that like when you show up, they just are surrounded by like everyone they've ever known.
Yes. And I'm only there in that meeting or that moment to deliver messages.
Right.
I can't be me. I have to be and then all of a sudden defined as the medium, that I can't just be Jamie and crack a very earthly joke. I have to be transmitting messages.
Right.
You know the number one weirdest question I get all the time?
What?
Not in sessions, but like when I meet people and they're like, oh, you're the medium? Oh. And then usually there's a question that comes after. I'll give you a guess.
What is it?
Just guess something really
You're
weird.
the medium. I don't know. Like, can you see my deceased loved one? Or...
That's a good one. The question is, so what color underwear am I wearing?
Oh.
Is that weird? It's so far. I'm like, that's not even related to the stuff that I do, and I'm not Superman. Like, I don't see through clothing and.
It's kind of Freudian.
It says more about
Do you
the person.
want me to look there?
It says more about the person asking the question, maybe.
It's usually guys, because
Yeah.
I don't think they know how to handle the whole medium thing. But so it's kind of joking, but at the same time nervous, and
Right.
you know, and people walk away from me. She knows, and I'm like, dude, that is your guilty soul. That's not my ability. That's your guilty soul,
man.
and I'm not doing it.
Right.
I think their misconception is that you're always on.
Right.
If you
Right.
can do that reading, you can constantly read somebody, and you're always on, and you cannot be trusted.
Oh, because you're always reading that.
Because I'm always reading them. You are, anybody else.
Right.
They're cheating, psychically cheating.
Oh my gosh.
No,
Yeah.
no, I signed up to be human. I like to be human. I don't always tap in. It's
Right.
exhausting, and I'm giving too much of my personality and who I am and why I'm here away to spirit, not to,
Right.
not always on.
Ooh, I have another misconception. And this might make me sound bratty, so I'm sorry if it does, but that like you always want to be reading, like and that it's like doesn't take a lot of energy to do it, because I'll get people that'll just like, hey, can you just squeeze me in, or can you give me like a quick reading about this thing, even friends or relatives. And I don't know how your business runs, but I have very specific hours in which I schedule for readings, and I pour 100% of myself into those times, and then I pretty much don't want to be reading any other time, because I've really maxed out what I know I can do personally in a week, and then any more than that, I'm sort of like, I feel like the readings aren't as great for the customers, or the clients. So anyway, those like quick reads, hey, can you just give me like a quick read on this or that? And like, can you just pull a couple cards about this or that? I get that a lot.
Because you don't have any boundaries.
No.
You can't. You're a tarot reader.
Right.
You can do that at any hour.
Right. Or like, I always have my cards, I'm just like, always have them on me.
Yeah, where are they, Kelley?
They're actually not on me right now.
Which is
Yeah.
weird, because I thought you would bring them.
I thought-
just like as a prop or something.
Oh, no,
you know?
I didn't.
I was like, so
It's
I'm
not-
guilty right now.
It's
I'm
not in my
guilty of
reading
it.
hours.
There you go. It's not your reading hours.
They start at 11:30 today. Yeah, so I don't know. So that's a misconception, but it feels like that you can always read, that you're always down to do it, that it's like requires no energy, and you could just, and that's interesting because, you know, if my friend's a school teacher or a babysitter or whatever, or, you know, a child, I would never be like, hey, can you just like come babysit real quick, and not expect them to drop what they're doing and then do it free of charge and just like squeeze it in. I don't want to sound ungrateful or bratty, but it's a profession.
It is a profession,
Right?
but we're still not fully seen as a profession.
Right.
You know, and I think it bleeds into another misconception that if you're able to do this and it's a natural gift and it's something that you have, you can't charge money for it.
this
It
one
needs to be free.
Oh, I could
Because
talk about this one all
You
day.
didn't have to go to school. You didn't have to pay for it. God gave it to you, and it is a gift, and it should be given to others. And some people and cultures fully believe that, and it works for them. But, you know, in my case, I am the sole provider of a family of 4, and it is my career. And I do have companies, for-profit companies, and I have employees. You have a shop. You have items you purchase and sell. You have, you know, family. You have everything that you're providing for as well. And so, yes, I charge money because I'm modern. Oh,
you're modern.
I'm modern.
I've had this conversation with some healer friends before, and one of my healer friends said, the world has enough poor healers and readers and things of that nature. Like, why don't we shift the culture from us, like, to charge, right? And to charge what you're worth. And as an industry, like, because there are some readers on Etsy, you could get a tarot reading on Etsy for like $5, literally, you know? But that in a way doesn't serve our industry well. And I've had, I know people that are donation based only, and that's their model.
Or sliding scale.
But
we're not putting these down. They're great for you if that's what you're doing, and you're good with it, and it resonates with you. It is perfect.
I've also noticed, I don't know if you've had this experience, that I can really feel the energy exchange when it comes to the money versus my energy. So like if I did a day of free readings versus the same number of readings for the same clients for the same amount of for $0 versus getting paid, at the end of the day, with the free readings, I feel completely depleted.
Yeah.
And then somehow with the paid readings, I can like go home, cook dinner, live my life.
It's balanced.
Right. So there's something to, like, money is energy, right? And so it's like a fair energy exchange, which someone told me was a fee. FEE, fair energy exchange.
Ah!
Right? So you charge a fee.
I like that.
Yeah.
I might go on the website and just change everything now. This is the fee.
Yeah.
Not the cost, it's the fee.
This is the fee, the fair energy exchange.
Because that is what it is. And it helps me have the company or the ability and the downtime and the free time to rejuvenate so that I'm back at work 100%.
Sure. And there's opportunities, case by case basis, you know, if someone needs help, or there's other ways in which, like, I offer these remote energy healings for groups once a week, and they're $15. So it's like a less expensive entry point to get the work done. So I try to sort of diversify the offerings so that people at different, you know, levels financially can afford things or not. So
I think our next little powwow here needs to be on, like, psychic business. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
Maybe we could talk about how to hold your integrity, morals, your psychic abilities, your talents, your gifts, whatever you call them, intuitive goodness, and have a proper business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a lot of kickback. Like when I had to begin to increase my prices, all of a sudden it was now you're charging too much. Now you're greedy. So that was a number that somebody had set in their head that they could afford or what they wanted to give in exchange. And I had crossed that boundary for them. And so then they put a whole bunch of different labels on it. You know, and part of me felt like I needed to slow down and take time to explain. But then part of me was like, no, it's not my place to explain to someone where I'm coming from. If you want to know, ask.
Sure.
You know, but there's all these assumptions that when you hit a certain number of charging per session, that you are just, you're emptying out people's pockets and you're just running with it. And that's, you know.
Yeah. And there's people of all prices in our field, right? So as a person who hires psychics or readers, you can find one that's comfortable in your price range. You know what I mean? So there's different people that have different energy exchanges, different overhead. There's different prices that feel in alignment for them and are probably really great too. So just find it's also important, personal responsibility, right? It's also important for the client to feel like they're in integrity with who they're working with and the price that they're charging, so that everyone feels compensated and happy, right?
Yes, Lumineers, you've got this. You're under control. So I heard you mention there was one kind of misconception that you wanted to share before this whole thing started. And I was like, no, wait. I want you to do it in front of the camera.
Okay.
Do you remember what that was?
So the misconception that if you're a reader or psychic, you're not a normal person, like you don't have average. One of my employees said that she was just like so shocked because she's in the shop working while I'm doing readings about how normal I am. I cuss. I don't cuss here unless we can, but I cuss all the time. I have, like a husband and dogs, and I am just like so normal except for my profession. And I think that some people think that you either are always like that you're super all the time,
yes yes,
or that you're I don't know, like you don't do just your normal everyday things.
You can't be angry,
right?
Definitely not aggressive. You're definitely going to be loving and passive,
right
and and you don't have really any boundaries. You're supposed to be all giving and all present. That comes across a lot. And so when I say no, sometimes it's a bit of a shock for people. What do you mean no?
Right.
I'm like, no, I can't be there. I can't show up for that. That's not something I can do. Oh, well, and then it's like, listen, I'm a person. I eat. I do other things. I I have a family. We go on trips. We take photographs of our family and our cats, and we giggle. We're people we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Right. And so then sometimes it's shocking to people that you're just like almost everyone else, so to speak. And it's like, no, I'm just, an average person. Just have what is now an unusual profession. However, my goal, and I think yours too, is to like make this stuff mainstream so that it's not so odd and so in the shadows. So just shine as bright as you can.
That's exactly where I was headed for us talking about all the misconceptions, kind of everything that you brought to the table today, is helping the Lumineers, giving you language so that when you're being presented with it, that maybe some of what we've said today resonates with you and that you can carry that language on and kind of say, nope, we're normal. We are equals, same respect. I have hours, I have boundaries, I have abilities that, yes, are unique, but can be seen in the same function as somebody else who has a career, like a teacher or a lawyer, or, even if it's not a trait that we learned in college, it is a life trait that we've been working on, some of us from day one. So got a lot of years under my belt, got a lot of years under your belt, so it's nice to go through the misconceptions.
Yeah, to kind of bring it into the light, right? And to be proud of who you are, right? Just be proud, And I think I said this the last time, but like for all of the people that are honing their skills and professionally or trying to go in that direction, for me, like once I connected with my clients and saw how profound the work was, all of the fear, all of the misconceptions are so small and don't even matter when you can really tap into how effective you are for people in their lives. So it's like you can laugh about them because they're not true, and you have a bigger, I call it sometimes like your mission of love. That's part of the healing work we do. It's like, what's your mission of love in this lifetime, and how can you live it?
Yeah, that is a beautiful point. Because even though we are picking and honing in on just the few that we've experienced in our career, it doesn't mean that we're constantly angry or harping about it, because you're right. There is, in the work, you rise above it. But at the same time, we want to help everyone else who is out there figuring out their skills and their abilities to understand it and kind of come up with us. Let's raise the vibration.
Let's do it. High vibe.
And check out modernmystic.com. No, it's check out modernmystictarot.com.
Thank you. Yeah.
Get a reading. How's that?
So fun.
How about, here's homework.
Okay.
Lumineers, go get a reading and eliminate all the misconceptions, right? Before you go get a reading, see if it's any different.
There you go.
See if it changes. See if something else opens up. That's a little homework, a little testy test
nice.
Right there.
Yeah.
I always like a good challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much
it's
for
so
being
fun.
here. We're totally going to hug and hold each other for a little bit after this because I love her so much.
Thank you.
But until then, Lumineers, remember, it's not woo-woo, it's true. She's got it. Yay! Bye, Lumies!
Side.